Chance for the Dolphins to change the narrative, beat a playoff team, win in the cold weather on the road, and it didn't happen. And I know there's no one single person to blame. It takes a team, but the fact is, Tua is 0-8 in games 45 degrees or lower. Cannot deny that. So what is the problem? Well, former MVP and former Carolina Panther and former New England Patriot Cam Newton was recently on ESPN, and he has a theory on why Tua doesn't do so well in the cold weather.
If anything that you need to know about the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniels, Tua Tagovailoa, and cold weather situations, why are all of their routes dinks and dunks, or it's in breaking routes? Show me a deep non-ball or deep post or an out-breaking route. What am I saying? I'm saying Tua's arm strength is exposed in cold weather. How do I know this? I thought the cold was just another type of situation. When I went up to the internship in New England and we had to go outside to practice on a day-to-day basis, that ball was flurrying out there rather than getting there on a straight line. What I'm saying is the verdict is out when scouting the Miami Dolphins because Tua doesn't have the arm strength in cold weather. So you have Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and respectfully Odell Beckham, one of the top tier receiver skill sets in all of football. We want to see these guys fly down the field, not dink and dunk down the field.
All right. He's not a dink and dunker. We gotta stop. We gotta stop that. He's not a dink and dunker.
He was throwing it somewhat down the field. I think Cam Ward wants more of a lateral vertical game. But this is the thing. If Cam Ward is correct, and I'm not saying he's correct, because I do think Tua, he has enough arm strength, and I do think they take enough shots down the field in the cold weather. But if Cam Newton is correct about this, that his arm strength is the problem, and he has to dink and dunk, and it has to limit the passing games in cold weather, then we have a serious problem. It's a very serious problem if Tua Tagovailoa's arm strength is the reason that he's losing all these cold weather games, or one of the main reasons. Because that means now you have two options. You can A, maybe find a quarterback with a better arm and better built for cold weather, or B, for the Dolphins, you have to win a lot of games during the regular season and ensure home field advantage in the playoffs. Because if his arm turns into a noodle arm in the cold, that is big. I personally think Tua has enough arm strength. That's just me. I think they run enough routes, but then again, there's evidence like last year in Kansas City where he underthrew Tyreek Hill for that one touchdown. He's 0-8. Cam Newton may have some validity to maybe the arm strength. Maybe it's some of the routes, but I think it's a whole team that really goes in there and wins and loses games, and we're just a warm weather team.
But then let me ask you this, right, with the arm strength. Do you think defensive coordinators know they don't trust, like they don't believe that this guy's going to get the ball, throw the ball, through the wind and stuff like that? So that's why they play certain coverages. They know they're not going to go deep, so they just keep everything in front of them and able to tackle.
That is really cool that you bring that up, Vlad. I don't know why I said cool. Interesting, I think would be the word. That you have these high-powered weapons in Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and he said Odell Beckham Jr. respectively. But if they're minimized in cold weather because you can't throw the ball accurately downfield, well, then your offense becomes very, 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 very predictable.
And also this, my friend, if you can't run the freaking ball, your offense is pretty limited.
What happened to the run game?
Jesus
the
Christ,
offensive line has been, for the most part, healthy. They
don't run the ball. Listen, you're fair.
We went through the stats. It was miserable.
But they never run the ball when they go on the road, bro. They don't. I don't get it.
Well, they had to pass because they were so far behind the other night.
But even with that, you could set the tone. Don't let them. This is my problem with the Dolphins, right? They don't set the tone. They let the tone be set on them. And then they got to respond after that. No. Set the tone. You set the tone.
Well, when you're down 24-3 at halftime, you got to come out. Let's go back.
My thing is this, Kuzan. if you set the tone, establish your running game, don't miss tackles. Because this is why it was a
terrible.
total
That was
team
terrible.
loss.
Tackling
All
was
right?
garbage.
The total team loss, because in the first half, the offense couldn't move, they couldn't run the ball, the defense couldn't stop anybody, and special teams is just muffin punts. All right?
When you go on the road and it's an inclement weather, what do you want to do? Bread and butter.
Run the ball, establish the line of scrimmage. That's why that's why we always talk about the big boys, the big uglies, because when they establish the line of scrimmage, okay, nobody wants to be in that cold for 40 minutes getting it beat on. You understand what I'm saying? Nobody does. But the teams that win, the good NFL teams, they establish the line of scrimmage and they run the ball. Say what you want about Baltimore. You say you can't trust them or not, but you know their MO. And you know they're going to run the freaking ball. So you know what's up.
Yeah, two of the best in the game.
Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh got LA, the Chargers. Justin Herbert, we see the nice hair and everything like that. But now can I call the Chargers soft? No, the Chargers are a tough team.
Hand the
Okay.
ball off to J.K. Dobbins.
You know who's a tough team? The two-time defending champs, Kansas City. You might not think it, but they tough.
Oh, yeah.
They established the line of scrimmage. Try stopping 56 and 95. Try to go against that inner three of that line with Humphreys and those other two, the two guards, the left guard and the right guard. Those are three of the best at their position. They established the line. I'm watching Thursday's game. I'm seeing Teron Armstead just getting blown by.
Oh, yeah, it's not a good game for him.
Just getting blown by. I see Eichenberg just getting put on his
missed
ass.
assignments too. Don't forget
Okay.
that. There's missed blocking assignments.
I'm seeing missed tackles left and right. Okay. I'm also
Penalties.
secondary penalties. Now, I got to be fair. A lot of injuries in the secondary.
Yeah,
A lot of injuries in the secondary.
they were worked out.
But still, it wasn't like Buddy was throwing the ball deep the whole game. They just ran the ball. And if you look at the numbers, Josh Jacobs didn't look like he had great numbers, but man, he was establishing his presence.
He was running.
You heard it, like, damn, they running physical, like, boom. Whether it was a 3-yard game, but it was a three physically hard yards, and it took their toll on the Dolphins.
They were setting the tone in the cold weather. They knew what to do, and the Dolphins did not do it. And what do you do when you go on the road in cold weather? You want to establish the line. You want to establish a physical game. You want to control the ball, time of possession. How do you do that? Run. Stay committed to the run. Let's go through the stats again, Vlad. I know we did it in the post game day uncensored after every game. Miserable. Is that even fair? Maybe I'm getting too much credit. Miserable rushing stats. How would you describe the rushing stats before I give them to you, Vlad?
Yeah, the word for today is terrible.
Terrible?
Terrible.
I'll go miserable because it hurt me a lot. Raheem Mostert, 5 carries, 19 yards.
Oh, and one of those carries was for 13
He
yards.
was buoyed by a 13-yard run.
So that means
The other
the other
carries
four.
were for 6 yards.
Come on.
Devon Achane, our bell cow,
What was it? 6 carries for 14?
7 rushes for 14 yards.
And one of the carries for 13.
One of them was for 13.
So that means 6 carries for 1 yard.
Tua Tagovailoa, arguably our most effective rusher on the day.
Was it 3 carries for 9 yards?
2 carries for 6 yards.
Right. And his longest run was a 9-yarder.
Yeah.
So that means that the last one was -3. Terrible.
Even Zach Sealer and Calais Campbell, they outside of that third play on the game, they didn't do too much. Our best player right now, our best player is Jonnu Smith. 10 receptions, 113 yards, which lends itself to Cam Newton saying to his arm strength in cold weather is not good enough. Jonnu Smith, a lot of underneath stuff. Tyreek Hill, 6 catches, 83 yards and a touchdown. Devon Achane, 8 catches, 56 yards and a touchdown. Jalen Waddle, 4 catches for 53 yards. That is not going to get it done. Tua did have 365 yards, but Vlad, what did you say in the postgame? It's just kind of a
Empty calories.
Thanksgiving reference. A lot of empty
calories.
People sitting back after they're up 24-3 at halftime. Or 24-3. Then they came back and got a field goal again. So it was 27-3. They just kind of hung back, played prevent, didn't want to.
Well, no, they scored a touchdown, got a 2-point conversion, which made it 27-11. Then they drove the ball. They got the ball with under like maybe 2 or 3 minutes left in the third quarter, and they were moving the ball.
They got
And
all the way down to the 1 yard line.
And I looked at you, and you were like, "Oh, they're gonna make come out." I was like, "They need to score with less than 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter, because if they score and it's only down 10, you still may have a chance to get 2 possessions to get the ball. Now, if you score and you get that second 2-point conversion, because that was the craziness. You know the chances of scoring 3 touchdowns and getting 3 2-point conversions? What's the chances of that?
Not good. Not good.
The chances of that happening is like me being white. Not
Not
good.
good. Not good.
No chance. So therefore, when they did score the second one, I mean, when they did get to the red zone, I'm like,
They got
all
to
right,
the-
cool. And I'll never forget, and I'll never forget this, because it was weird. Because I'm watching the game, and you're watching the game, and then all of a sudden you go, boom, first and goal. Devon Achane runs 7 yards.
He got to the goal line.
He got to the goal line. So I'm like, all right, cool, boom. I don't know what happened where you did. Second play, stop. Second play,
negative
run,
2 yard. by
negative
Devon
2
Achane.
yards. Third play, just a bad throw to
Weird throw to Jonnu Smith.
and then fourth down.
Terrible pass.
No, he got sacked. Like there
Oh
was
yeah,
no
that's right,
pressure.
right. There was no blocking at
There
all.
was no blocking. And it was just like, what happened there in those 4 plays at the goal line?
I-
Like, what really just happened here?
I asked you, Vlad. I said, did we already break into the Prestige beer? Because I feel as though I blacked out, and I had not been drinking. I was like, wait, what happened?
And Cap for Life, you're right. Almost half of those numbers were in the third or fourth
No,
quarter.
yeah, of course.
Yeah, that's why it was empty calories. Like, the man's gonna be accurate, but if all you two were lovers, you're gonna be like, "Oh, he threw for." Dog, they weren't even playing the same
All right.
defense anymore. They were
Right.
playing They were down. They were up 24. When you're doing that, you're gonna get all the in front of you yards. You know what I'm saying? All those little
Right.
dumpers, and then you can get a lot of yards. You can get 10 to 15 yards with so much space in front of you, but they're not trying to allow you in the end zone. And then that possession to end the third and start the fourth, when you don't get that touchdown, game over.
Well, they're going to have last 2 games of the season to change that narrative as they play at the Browns and at the Jets. But will it be too little, too
Yeah,
late?
it's going to be too little, too late.